Hey, welcome back. Got another knife for you here today. I gotta keep it off the screen here because it has, some personal info on it here, but we'll do our best to open it up. I think I'm a fun week. A few things happened. One, I got on the Reddit groups. That was interesting. I've been doing a lot of blade forums. I hadn't done Reddit. It's a little chaotic. I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. Two, I got some really fun feedback from a lot of you, which I appreciated. There were some comments to the extent of like, you know, you're going to do really good things here and you should have more subscribers. And so, you know, like I'm definitely realized that that's a big part of the goal, but you know, for me, this is largely an outlet among other things. So, looks like we got a Tactile Knife Co. knife here today, but I really appreciate the kind words. And look, if we do good things here, then maybe that will happen. But really, for me, this is, you know, just a bit of a fun outlet and something that I've really enjoyed getting to do. And I just remember talking to my wife in the first week and being like, I don't know if this is going to work or not, or if we're going to make it here, or if I'm going to make it. But, you know, really the community has been super inviting, really fun getting to know some of you out there. And it's kept me going. And this is going to be a lot of work to do what I'm doing, because the buying and selling and, you know, working with different folks within the industry to try and just bring my perspective. But if nothing else, you know, it's me tinkering here in my house and enjoying some of the knives I enjoy and stuff, and it is what it is. So the reason I brought all these out is because I've been really looking forward to this day, if I'm seeing this right, which is, and this is kind of cool how this was packaged up. So thanks to the seller on this, COA there, Certificate of Authenticity. Let me see if I can open this up without potentially damaging it or anything. But you may already know, if you're a Tactile Knife Co. fan, what you're looking at here, which is a magnetic box, which they no longer offer. Normally you're getting these foam boxes now. So most of them are going to come in a box that looks like this. I'm actually noticing just now that the color has changed a little bit from my first one to some of the new ones I'm getting. It's like they've actually adjusted that a little bit. But this is pretty cool. So this is the Tactile Knife flipper. Oh, cool. And I wasn't sure what to think, or like what I was gonna get out of this, honestly. But one of the things that I've noticed about this knife is that it's a little small. And one of the results of that is that it's a little challenging in the Thumbstud format for someone with bigger hands. I've seen a lot of people selling these, talking about the fit for a bigger handed person. And I can tell you, like, I don't have even nearly as big hands or mitts as some of the people out there, but I do have about 4 inches here and about 3.5 inch span. And I got these skinny fingers, but getting this thing in a larger hand to deploy safely can be a little bit of an interesting situation. So I very often like to finger flick it or reverse flick it, because I find that, you know, with a smaller knife is a little more comfortable for me. I've gotten pretty accustomed to deploying this one with my thumb, and actually I've started to switch from using my fingernail to using the tip of my finger when deploying it. And now that it's loosened up a bit, it's pretty darn good. But I was really curious, since they no longer make them, what these XHP originals would be like. And I'll just put these right up to the screen right next to each other. They're very similar in finish, if not the same. I'd heard they may have even changed the finish on these a little bit since then. One of the things I'm noticing right away is the Tactile is written here, whereas it's in the front of the blade on this one. You can see it right there, which is different. So let's just go ahead and tinker with this a little bit and see what I think. And I'll pull the Certificate of Authenticity off. But anyway, really been enjoying this. Thanks for everyone that's participated and weighed in. And I've even seen a couple people that, you know, posted out there that they've gone and bought some knives, you know, based on some of my comments on the show. And look, I just try and bring you some candor and more of the consumer perspective. I'm certainly a collector. I don't know if I'd call myself an enthusiast yet. I think I have a lot to learn before I could purport to be such. But a lot of people talked about how cool it was that these were originally shipped with these envelopes and the wax seal on there and stuff, which, you know, American company kind of doing something pretty cool. But how cool is this? This is you know, versus the newer ones. That's actually a metal placard. The newer ones are cool. I love anything that comes with a cert of authenticity and appreciate that. But, you know, I do think this is definitely on a little bit of a different level. And, you know, proudly made in the USA with the names of all the folks there. I think that is just super cool. I've heard some of these in the very earlier ones were even numbered. I don't think that this is one of them, or I don't know if it's one of them or whatever, but yeah, this is just a really neat one to get a hold of as someone that appreciates, you know, this knife and what it represents. And I've now tinkered around with a few of them. I'll do a few more videos on Tactile. I'm not a big fan of their ano, to be honest. I've had a couple that have come with like less than stellar consistency. Like there will be some wear, particularly on this edge. I don't know why, or whatever. And I've seen that on like 2 different exclusives in the bronze where had, you know, not great ano work. So that's, you know, I'm kind of sticking to the titanium. I think they do a brilliant job of this titanium. I'm really enjoying actually just going back to the Thumbstud one right now because mine's loosened up so much now that I'm actually like really comfortable deploying it with that, you know, tip of thumb approach. So this is probably going to start getting carried a little more. But really from a collector perspective, wanted to get one of these. You know, I'm noticing a very interesting difference in the carve out where the Thumbstud is. It's quite different. It's one of those things that people talk a lot about, is this interesting shape and feel of the Thumbstud and the access here. A lot of people say they should be carved out more or in a different way. And there's just this really tight tolerance in how the Thumbstud rotates around the top of the handle, and how tight it is sitting in there. There's no way to get up next to it. You're really kind of touching the tip of it or just catching your fingernail on the tip of it. So it is a little bit of a thing, and that makes this flipper very interesting. On a smaller knife, when you don't have a frame lock, so you can really get a nice pinch on it, flipper ends up being a really nice deployment method. Now, let's just take a little closer look at it and see what we see. Really love the finish, just as I have on the others. This one is used, but I feel like a little bit of folding maybe up here. That's kind of an unlikely place to have it though. So, you know, it could even just be, yeah, there's a little bit of a fold there, I think. So it might need a little touch up. Yeah, you can see it there, right there. A little bit, you know. So this is an XHP. I don't think it says that on there. Maybe it says it somewhere and I don't know where it is. You do see the milling out of the titanium in there, which is really nice. Keeps the knife strong but lightweight. Oh, there it is. XHP right in there. Had a feeling it would be somewhere on there, just knowing the way that this company does their stuff. So yeah, nice example. I wasn't sure, you know, apparently it was lightly carried, so I wasn't sure if it was going to come in, but that's the brilliance of having a really nice, you know, titanium knife. I think the only evidence I see is maybe a touch of wear here on the pocket clip, which, you know, it's hard to even see it. I can totally live with it. And yeah, just really excited to get my hands on this. Saw one of these go on eBay today for $350. In fact, my 3-year-old started crying and I missed the last bid. I probably would have bid it up even higher than that, to be honest, because these are getting so hard to come by. Let's see how the lockup is. Rock solid, rock solid. Now, is that blade the same shape as the newer MagnaCut blades? Yeah, it's very similar. Now it has same jimping, a little different on the jimping, isn't it? Yes, it's the same. Yeah, it really is the same blade shape and jimping. the handles are certainly different, being the different deployment methods. And it looks like the hardware is a little different, maybe. Looks like they used to mill out the hardware a little bit, maybe. See if I can get focus on there for you. So I don't know if you can see that. I think you can. I'm working on my light game here, so I've got a little better lighting than before. Hopefully it's better today. Yeah, it looks like there's like a little milling on the hardware on these, and then these it's more flat. Up at the top, the pivot hardware looks the same. Different, that's interesting. So it used to have a two-sided screw, which is not ideal, where you'd have to have basically two screwdrivers, two bit drivers, and they're round on both sides. On these newer ones, they're round on one side, but on the other side, you have a slight flat edge to make it so you don't have to put a counter a counter torque on it. So that's nice. And then the pocket clips are a little different, actually. That's interesting. Didn't expect that. Looks like they maybe got some feedback and put a little bit of a bigger bill. So it's actually shorter here and bigger here, which, let's see if you can, yeah, people are probably saying there's a little bit of a hot spot from the tall end there. It's not bad, but it is a little less comfortable, I think, than the newer one. It probably depends how exactly you grab it, to be honest. You can get a little bit of a hot spot from the taller bill here as well. But let's clean up this mess a little. I'm sure you're probably being driven crazy by what's going on here in the background, and just kind of line this up with some of the others that I have here in the collection. So we can just throw these over here. And this first one is the monkey edge frag pattern. If you watch my other video on the Knife Joy Dragon Scale, I sent that one back for review just to get the detent looked at, I think it was. I think the detent was the issue on that one. I don't remember if there was a centering or something. I think it was just detent was so strong I couldn't deploy it. No matter how hard I tried. I mean, it was like an entire video. I was able to get it out deployed one time. So generally I haven't had much mechanical issue with these, but I do notice like a difference in factory detent from one to another. That is one thing that I have noticed. And then this one over here is the golf model. So not sure what that is, if that's like a QA thing, or, they use really tight tolerances on these knives, and I imagine some of them just come out needing to get worked in a little, whereas others, might just be a little looser on the tolerance, just because generally the way that they've put them together is so tight. But I couldn't tell you for sure. Let's get these flipped over to show side. I just was reviewing one of my videos today, and I was talking about the pocket clip side and calling it the show side, which is kind of funny. And just see how this flipper stacks up by comparison with some of the others. Generally, I think it's the same length and everything, but let's just double check. Yeah, it looks like the length didn't change. The shape generally is the same aside from this carve out. So that's cool. So you got from left to right, the flipper original and XHP, the new base, or whatever you want to call it, standard. I should probably go like this. This is the golf, which is a fairly golf ball texture, which is a fairly universal one. It was offered to many dealers, so you don't have to. It's not an exclusive, although it is a limited edition, they say. So there may only be so many of these out there. So if you really like, you know, this design, make sure to grab one of them while they're available. Most websites have them for, I think, $3.29. So they're not, some of them, you know, there are some websites that sell some versions of this knife up to $3.90 MSRP. You know, if they have a lot of coating added and that kind of stuff. So this one I've noticed I have a little more trouble finger flicking than the others. It's talking about the detent there. Whereas like this monkey edge, for instance, has been a real easy one to deploy on pretty much any way that I try and deploy it. I like put almost no effort into that one and it just flew right out. So go monkey edge. I don't know if that's them or Tactile or whoever, but that one's a great one there. So yeah, excited. This kind of rounds off what I wanted for titanium. You add in the dragon scale one and I'm like, okay, I way overdid it on Tactile, but you know, I do just love this design. I've talked about it before. My grandpa's old lighter, it's just sort of reminiscent of it. And because of that, there's this nostalgic appreciation for this that makes me really like this knife. I don't know if it's like an exact one-to-one, but there's a really similar feel. It's sort of that saying, if they don't make them like they used to, well, for $300 to $400, they still do in America in MagnaCut. You know, I've mentioned this in a few other videos, but one of the first things that drew me to this was the fact that they were making these with MagnaCut, and so few knife companies are right now. And you know, for a knife company to come out first knife and go super progressive, I mean, I guess technically they went XHP and then 20 CV and then MagnaCut, but you know, within, I don't know, maybe a year from what I could tell, I wasn't buying these back when they first came out. I think within a year of their first versions, they were, you know, going to MagnaCut. Maybe it's more than a year, but it's close. So let's also take a look and see if we can tell in the lockup. These things have such a small little area that the knife sits into. It's almost hard to tell, but looks like the, I said lockup, I meant centering. Centering looks really good here. Ooh, yeah, just really excited to have this one. Gotta thank the seller tonight. Tell him I got it and tell him thank you. Like I said, it does have a little bit of use on it. Let me throw a little, let's see if I can get a little wipe down on there real quick and see if we get any improvement. I'm just seeing a little bit of stain on there. Not a stain necessarily, but signs of wear, signs of use, signs of being touched or whatever. A little gunk as knives get. Let's see how that looks now. Oh yeah, really, really nice. Almost has like a little bit of a patina developing there, which I like. I don't know if XHP, I don't know much about XHP. I don't know if I have another knife in it. I know it's considered a premium knife steel and considered very good. But I don't know much about it. So I'll have to go do a little research on like the, you know, corrosion resistance for us here in Bellingham, Washington, living right on Bellingham Bay is definitely a big deal. It's also a very, you know, high humidity area. We had a lot of rain, 200 plus days of rain a year. So this is, you know, corrosion resistance is a really big deal for our knife steels and something that I definitely look at. But cool, super excited to get this one. I think that's pretty much my thoughts for tonight. I hope, I was just communicating with Tactile in an email. Don't get me wrong, I'm just another guy. I don't have any relationship there, but I was just messaging, and I think it was Michael Miller over there, or one of the other guys, maybe it was one of the guys, responded that they were going to be bringing out another flipper. I don't know that it's, you know, the Rockwall style flipper, but bringing out another flipper here, either by the end of the year or in the next year. I can't remember exactly what they said, but I'll be on the lookout for what they do. They just brought out some really cool knives at, I think it was the Nashville Knife Show or something. So they brought out a fixed blade that is, looking pretty cool. It was called something like the Dreadnought or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was called. And they introduced in the last month or so a larger, I don't remember exactly the details, but another, larger format knife that's going to be something, these are probably like 7 inches total or something. It's probably going to be like an 8 or 8.5 inch knife or something total, instead of a sub 3 inch or, right at 3 inch blade. I think it's going to be something like a 3.5 inch or something like that. So I'm sure that was probably the #1 piece of feedback they got, because this knife, depending on how big your hands are, it's definitely not for everyone. Like, I'm trying very hard to get my wife to like want one of these. I haven't quite gotten her to like pick one out yet, but like, of all the knives, I'd say this is the closest to the one that I've gotten her interested in. And I think like for her hands, it's probably a better fit even than mine, but I do still love this, and it's a big part of why I really wanted this flipper, because I do feel like with the smaller format, that really makes it that much more confidence inspiring. But like I said, I'm feeling really good on this today. This thing's coming out laser fast now that I've had it. I don't know if I had it now for like a month or two, and it's not been carried. You can see I'm failing miserably on my reverse flicks today. I don't know what's going on there, but my thumb is killing it. Maybe it's the monkey edge one that is really good on the reverse flicks. It's funny how, knives, they all have their own little character, or your interaction with them is unique. Everyone has a little bit of a different experience, but yeah, this one's just a real sweetie on the reverse flick. But I feel like that one right there, I was getting fine for a while, so I'm probably just getting fatigued doing it too many times or whatever. Like I said, on this small format, it is just a little hard to get your finger, really into there to get a purchase and, a spot to get it. So I'm like really, I have to really dig it in and put a little extra effort. So I think now I've remembered what I do differently. Again, I do these videos sitting here with a tripod in front of me, really I'm not looking at the knife, I'm looking at the screen of the camera, which is probably the wrong thing to do. So sometimes I'll just start missing because I can't even figure out what I'm doing, and then I'll have to like reach around and, figure out what I was doing wrong. But this is feeling pretty good now. But as you can see, like, I'm not super good at this. You compare that with, the way I manipulate my Demco at this point. This is something that I'm going to get in and out every time super quick, and it's a big part of why it's my #1 EDC. And it's hard to imagine something overtaking this because it's just so good. Especially for half the price of one of these. Granted, this is a Gravity model, and if you want something that's fully titanium, you're going to spend a lot more than you're going to spend. Actually, you know what? That's not quite correct. You can get a flat titanium, not this textured, 80/20.5 for $315. So it's about the same price, if not less, than some of these fancier versions. This is $375, so it's actually pretty similar in price. So to me, this is a better all-around knife, better all-around EDC, but it is also like a little utilitarian and not something you really want to, it's not a gentleman's knife. So I like this as like a gentleman's knife. The Tactile is just a phenomenal gentleman's knife, and the different variations that they've brought out with the different patterns and how they're doing these custom versions with some of the exclusives with the different, websites, Knife Joy. Who else have they done that with? Monkey Edge. So Monkey Edge Frag, Knife Joy with the Dragon Scale. Urban EDC has multiple really cool ones that a lot of people like the Blurple anodized, the bronze ano, and they have their, whatever it's called, Saghile. I don't know how to pronounce the word, but it's kind of that swirly pattern, like a bunch of circles. It's actually kind of like a lot of these almost, but like kind of half circles weaving into each other. I think that's a really, really cool pattern also. American Edge has a bronze DLC where like the pivot hardware and the hardware is like DLC black, and then it's a bronze, which reminds me a lot of the lighter again. So I have one of those that's incoming. So yeah, I think just Tactile is doing some really cool stuff with this. They took, a pretty simple format and made it very versatile, and are doing something a little different than a lot of others in the market. So another one, I've just reviewed recently that I really like that I find to be a little bigger in hand and maybe a little better fit for me for like a daily carry would be like the Devo Stout. I think is for me like a little bit of a better all-around EDC. It's heavier, bigger, but the action, the deployment method, and the blade shape for like my use cases is very interesting. So I think I have ranted and gone on long enough. As you can see, I'm a big fan of these and get very compelled to talk about them when I'm around them and, you know, looking at them and feeling them and stuff. You know, there's a reason for that. They're really cool knives. So hope you enjoyed this one. If you made it this far, please like, subscribe, and take care. I will see you on the next one.